Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to After the Sirens and leave a comment below telling us which forgotten wartime technology you want covered next, because this channel exists for serious history buffs who value depth over spectacle. During World War II, while the world focused on tanks, bombers and frontline battles, millions of civilians were quietly fighting a different war inside their homes. Across Europe, Britain and parts of Asia, ordinary families relied on improvised yet ingenious alarm systems to detect air raids, gas attacks, black market thieves and enemy infiltrators. These were not futuristic inventions, but practical, mechanical and brutally effective security solutions built under pressure, scarcity and constant threat. Many of these systems disappeared after the war, not because they failed, but because peacetime made people forget the necessity of vigilance. Understanding how these alarm systems worked offers modern survivalists and historians rare insight into low-tech resilience that still applies today. One of the most widespread civilian alarm systems during World War II involved simple tripwire mechanisms connected to bells, tins or spring-loaded clappers placed near windows, staircases and doors. In blackout conditions where electric lighting was forbidden, homes were vulnerable to both intruders and structural collapse from bomb shockwaves. Families rigged thin wires across corridors and entrances so that any movement would trigger a sharp metallic alarm. In Britain, during the Blitz, these alarms were often placed near stairwells leading to shelters. A parent sleeping lightly could be alerted instantly if debris shifted or if a stranger entered during the chaos of a nighttime bombing. This method remains relevant today for off-grid security where electricity is unavailable. A modern equivalent using fishing line and bells can secure a rural property silently and reliably without electronic failure points. Fear of chemical warfare was constant during World War II, especially after World War I gas attacks were still fresh in public memory. Civilians were issued gas detection papers treated with chemicals that change colour when exposed to toxic gases. These papers were often mounted near windows or ventilation points and checked frequently. Some households combined them with visual alarm routines where a colour change triggered immediate evacuation or sealing of rooms. While not audible alarms, these systems functioned as passive detection devices that saved lives through early warning. The practical lesson here is redundancy. Modern households concerned with air quality can apply the same philosophy using passive carbon dioxide or chemical exposure indicators alongside electronic sensors, rather than relying on a single alert system. During blackout regulations, even a sliver of light escaping a window could guide enemy bombers. Some households installed reflective thread systems or mirrors aligned toward windows so that any light breach would reflect onto a specific wall marker visible in darkness. If the marker lit up, it meant curtains had shifted or fabric seals failed. This visual alarm system prevented fines, arrests, or worse. In today's terms, this is a masterclass in environmental monitoring. Light discipline principles are now studied in military survival training and can be applied by modern preppers concerned with visual detection from a distance, especially in rural or unstable regions. When cities were evacuated during bombing campaigns, abandoned homes became prime targets for looters. Civilians developed knock alarms using hinged boards and weighted levers attached to doors and windows. Any forced entry caused loud repeated knocking sounds that could be heard by neighbours or civil patrols. These devices worked without power, required minimal materials, and could function for weeks unattended. Today, property owners leaving remote homes can learn from this by using mechanical deterrents that function independently of grids, batteries, or internet connectivity. Some families living in multi-story buildings created vibration alarms using suspended glassware or weighted pendulums placed near structural beams. When bomb shock waves caused unusual oscillation, the clinking or swinging acted as a warning to evacuate immediately. These systems were crude seismic alarms that provided seconds of warning that often meant survival. The principle applies directly to modern earthquake-prone regions, where simple pendulum-based indicators can supplement electronic sensors and provide immediate physical feedback during structural stress. Beyond individual homes, entire streets coordinated alarm systems using coded whistle signals. Different patterns meant fire, gas, or approaching patrols. These were decentralized, human-powered alert networks that worked even when telephones and sirens failed. The effectiveness came from training and consistency. Modern communities concerned with disaster response can apply this model through agreed-upon audible signals or low-tech communication plans that do not depend on cellular infrastructure. Some shelters use pressure plates made from wooden boards resting on springs or scrap metal. When stepped on, they activated bells or clappers. These alarms protected families from intruders seeking shelter access during raids and also alerted occupants if someone collapsed or moved unexpectedly in darkness. The underlying concept of pressure-activated alerts, remains widely used today, from modern security mats to improvised survival traps designed strictly for detection rather than harm. After the war, electrification and consumer security products replaced these systems. Convenience overtook resilience. Yet modern crises have shown how fragile digital security can be. Power outages, cyber failures, and infrastructure collapse return us to the same conditions World War II civilians faced. These forgotten alarm systems remind us that security does not require sophistication, only understanding of physics, behavior, and environment. Studying them gives modern survivalists a toolkit that functions under worst-case scenarios. Anyone living in a rural area preparing for disaster resilience or studying historical civil defense can recreate these principles using basic materials. Combining passive detection mechanical alerts and community coordination builds layered security that does not fail when technology does. World War II civilians did not wait for perfect solutions. They built what worked, tested it under stress, and trusted systems they could repair themselves. If you value serious historical analysis that connects the past directly to modern survival and preparedness, subscribe to After the Sirens right now and share this video with someone who understands that history is not entertainment, it is instruction. Leave a comment below telling us which forgotten civilian technology deserves its own deep dive next.